Alright. Let's post this shit super quick to the Instagram feed. Next. Paste. Share. Alright. It's quiet, too quiet. Got one viewer. I'm viewing myself. Did you see if we had audio yet? What?
I got
nothing? It says we're live now. I did kill it for a little bit there, so. Chat didn't update when I typed something. Oh, test message did show up in chat. Oh, hey guys, I'm here. We're just making sure this is working because my XSplit expired. How much delay do we have? Huh, we have a bit of delay. If I should be able to refresh this with right click and close. How did I do that before? I don't remember. Oh, refresh. There we go. Okay. I'm going to head upstairs real quick. We can start. If you want to start pulling the case apart. You know, yank. There's a magnet tray. I grabbed it one. We can put all of the screws for this build in that. I'll be right back. No?
I can see. Your cat decided she was hungry and decided to eat the envelope.
Eat the what? This?
Yeah, she started chewing. She pulled a strip off.
Text. It says we're. Gotta watch an ad, of course.
We're gonna take the bottom one off too.
Yeah, the mic's probably a bit hot, but oh yeah, the mic is hot. All right, that's the bottom.
Bottom comes off too.
Yeah, I think because technically in this case you can put them anywhere if you wanted, like technically speaking. And like these come out too. We're not going to do any of that because we're just going to use it in the standard orientation.
You're gonna take these little trays out then too.
We shouldn't need to. Maybe for cable management we might need to. That's where the power supply goes. So yes, to get cable management done, we're going to need to. Let us know how we are on audio, guys. Or girls. Peoples. Check what level we're at here with the mic. Yeti Nano. 85. Are we at unidirectional or omni? Or an omni? See, I've had people tell me we're not loud enough at times, and other people tell me we're too loud.
Where do these plastic trays at?
Wherever you feel like putting them. So what we're doing here is we have a PC build. I guess obviously, somewhat. And we're doing it for my grandparents because they currently have a Turion X2. What you looking at?
There's a cat in the box.
Yeah, that's what cats do. That's literally the defined purpose of a cat.
It looks comfy as hell.
And it's running an N-Force chipset, and it's old as shit. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Finally got them faster internet, and now my grandpa has started to notice how slow their computer really is. So it was time, and I was originally going to go with AMD APU because I know for a fact I can definitely do a 2200G build under $400 and a 2400G build under $500.
Yeah.
And we didn't end up going with that at all. So, woo. The build we ended up doing is about $400, I think. Maybe.
That was a little more than that. No, actually cheaper than that.
It was still a bit cheaper than that. Maybe that's without graphics card though.
Yeah.
And we're using a 960. I kick around here, 964 gig, just because the lowest end one that would have made any sense is a 570, but that's $120, and they do not need a 570. Realistically, do they need an R5 1600? No. But it was literally cheaper. Yeah.
Sub $100, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was $80 for an R5 1600. My glasses are super dirty. I need to clean them. But yeah, it was $80, which is $100 off retail price of an R5 1600. And yes, it's a gen old, but like, it's from our grandparents. It's fine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
more than fine.
so what we're dealing with here, and all this stuff, well, the case we didn't actually get at Micro Center because they ran out. We would have, right? We would have bought it there. It was actually, I mean, it would have been like $2 or $3 cheaper. But we did want something. I was originally going to go ITX and a APU. However, pricing said we shouldn't do that, basically. We would get a better computer for cheaper. Well, the same price we thought initially, but it ended up being cheaper by buying a dedicated CPU and using a dedicated graphics card. And this is what we ended up going with. It's a micro ATX case. It is Thermaltake V21?
Core V21.
Okay, it's the Core V21, so it's not like the fancy tempered glass one. It's just the base model, but it's taller than I remember. But we still should be able to put a monitor on it, I would think. Like imagine, okay, because I mean that monitor over there. If we lower that monitor all the way down, like I think it'd be a little bit above normal height, but not like too high. I don't think.
Yeah.
We'll see. Otherwise, we might have to find a different place to put this little guy. But it's still much more compact than like an ETX full teller would be. You know.
Yeah.
The idea was to have this. Oh, that's gonna be too tall. I can tell you already. Like this way. It's probably gonna be too tall to have the monitor on top. Well, we might have to have it to the right or left side then. Oh well. We'll figure it out. Still smaller than having a ATX mid tower. What's our title looking like on here? We have PC build for grandparents. We're gonna add gaming PC build. Because technically it could be.
PC build.
Yeah.
And I guess you're slapping on a 960.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, guys. We got all this stuff sub $400. You had a 570 or 580. That is actually a pretty darn good gaming PC. So we're starting with this. We might try and take the front off of this. I know it comes with the big 200mm, but it looks like it could have dual 120s or 140s. And that might be better with the amount of fans that I literally have kicking around here.
Yeah.
I think I have 3 Be Quiet 140s, which would be like, that'd be mint. Otherwise, there's a nice big 120mm fan in front of this thing.
Can you even get the front off?
Yeah, there's little clips. Hold on. There's a little clip.
Yeah, I see it right there.
There's one right here. I can tell you that much.
No, that's part of the case. That's
Oh, they're the big plugs. It just pops right out. So we're have to see if we can fit other size fans in here. Otherwise, it does come with a Thermaltake 200, and Thermaltake does make, I'm not gonna say like good fans, but they're like sturdily built fans. Yeah, it's filtered too. Originally I wanted the monitor on top of this. This is looking a bit tall now for their desk. There are a bunch of drive cages and hardware or radiator mounts up top. And then all of the side panels that screws took off. I don't know if it made it on camera. Might have been just before. But they can be put on any side. So you can make like, you could put it, like that could be the bottom. 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 And I think this dude you can move around too. Like if you flip the front, like if you, say if we inverted the whole shit. I think you can. I think you can. Yeah. Not that we're going to, because if it was going to sit on our desk right now, it'd sit like this, and we want the power button and reset button like that. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. See, it could. We might. Do we invert the whole thing? No, because the motherboard tray doesn't get inverted. Like, so if you flip it like this, I was thinking, because if we could have the fan go right over the motherboard tray, that'd be way better than this crap down here. But you can't invert the motherboard tray. So that's why I'd rather go with 2. Oh, and the fans I did not figure in the price because I just have, like, stacks of OEM fans around here. Yeah, because most custom builds I do, we don't use the stock fans. Because... Oh, and then once we have enough stock fans, then we use them in like a budget build. Like Tyler's original. We had all Corsair OEM H100 fans, H100i fans. Sound like a jet, but it cooled well.
Yeah.
For about a year or 2, and then the bearings went out. So I'm going to run and grab some fans here. You want to pull off this thing and just undo all the PCI brackets you're doing? Because I think we need like those. I'm not sure. I think it's these two. You can look at the motherboard. Yeah, the motherboard is right here. It is a complete mess in there right now. Do you have a picture of it on the back, maybe? Yeah, based on this, we need the second and third slots. So kind of here's our next bit we went with. I don't have my broadcast software up, so I can't see what we're showing here. We end up going with, for motherboard wise, well, we already said we had the R5 1600, $80. Then at Micro Center, when you buy a CPU, you get $30 off the motherboard. So you actually went with the cheapest B450 motherboard there is. I've used this one before, actually as well. It's the B450M Pro 4. On Cobble 2, this is in there as well. The one really nice thing about it is if you compare it to Asus, it has heat sinks on the VRM. That's a plus. Cool things, right? The other thing though is it has a smart PCI Express layout. Top slot's a 1X. And so if you have a CPU cooler that hangs down, it won't. Your graphics card won't hit it. Smart. And you can still use it because your graphics card does not overhang the 1X, right? Then you have a 16X slot with an empty space below it. And then you have your 4X slot. So that means all lanes that are available on this board are technically usable. Unlike the Asus one, we were like the other option that I would pick would be the Asus. That had 16X up top, 1X underneath it with the M.2 underneath it. That's another bonus to this board. The M.2 is above the graphics card, so it's not getting heat just dumped on it. Whereas the Asus hit it under the graphics card. And then the 4X, going to the chipset, is also available at the bottom. So realistically, we got expansion for 2 different types of expansion cards there. Like this is actually a decent. That's why I went with this one for Cobble too, is because I think this was $80 normally, but we had I think it was 60 when we were there, and then we got $30 off.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like $30 with the. So this is the banger of a deal. RAM we're going with. They were out, and I don't think Micro Center carries it. It's G.Skill Fortis. Normally with Ryzen, you'd want to get like 3000, 2933 or 3200 megahertz RAM. I would usually say side with 2933 because you can save a whole bunch. However, we don't care. It's from our grandparents. So we go with G.Skill Fortis, which is still Ryzen certified. And it was $67 on Newegg. Well, wasn't it like 150 they were trying to sell me?
Mm-hmm.
They were out of FlareX because they don't have Fortis. I would have bought FlareX in price match because not that much more. But they were out because of selling all those 1600s. So nothing we could do there. And then they tried selling me Corsair. Like they had the original Corsair compatible AMD RAM, which is kind of poop because it's 3000 and technically that's not really a RAM speed. Like 2933 is and 3200 is. Also, it's like kinda like it's not Samsung memory on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like compatible, but not like truly.
Yeah. Basically.
And they wanted $150 for it when I got this for $67, and they were actually selling 8 gig sets of Ryzen compatible, which technically isn't Ryzen compatible because it was 2 4 gig DIMMs, and Ryzen does not like that for more than this.
Mm-hmm.
So. Unless they have FlareX in stock, which is a little bit more, like usually $10 more, but it is quicker memory. Just buy Fortis elsewhere. Make sure you always get AMD Ryzen compatible RAM. Research it, or just stick with G.Skill Fortis or FlareX because those are for sure. You need Samsung B die if you go that far into it because there's B die and D die for Samsung, and I think even other ones. D can work if it's certified for the motherboard. B will generally work even if it's not certified. And that means because they have the memory QVL, right? So even generally though, because this is certified by G.Skill for AMD, even if it's not in the QVL, will it work. Generally, B side will work if it's not in QVL, but if it's not certified, If it's in a QVL, it will for sure work. Now, sometimes once you get into the Samsung D type memory, that's what I originally had. So it was 3200 memory, but it would only actually run 2933 on my 1700X because it wasn't B side. Like it would still work perfectly fine. You would just never hit 3200 on it.
Weird.
Yeah, and then if you use other stuff, like it's a literal crapshoot. It is a literal crapshoot. So either buy the G.Skill stuff or other brands that say Ryzen compatible on them, or that's what I would do personally. It makes life a heck of a lot easier. Otherwise, you got to read your QVL, and like I do have saved places. So if you have questions on it, hit me up. I do have lists of memory that's compatible saved. Our CPU might be throttling. Woo! I thought I toned it down a bit, but we just did have a high CPU message. So we gotta grab those fans and see. Oh, I also do have a Hyper 212 they got for free.
Good.
That we're gonna pop in there, which I hate Hyper 212s, but.
Yeah, I can use like the.
No, remember we found out that height-wise it'll fit. Remember I checked specs. That's why I always check your specs. We did have the Hyper 212 in store in front of us. I hate them, but I already have one. And this case will fit a Hyper 212. I hate the mounting method. Have you seen their mounting method? Like it's a little cross dude that like you just kind of adjust to the correct holes. And then the cheaper Hyper 212s, like on this one, it's probably just gonna be the clamp. And a clamp that's technically not AM4 compatible, but some companies still use it when they're cheap. It'll be that. Nathan might be quite a fan too. Yeah. Those are actually good. Oh, I mean, I was helping out with his build. So, guys, here are a ton of OEM fans. I go to a literal ton of them. We gotta see what's good and not good there. Uh-oh.
That's fine. We don't need, like, it would have been nice to use the quiet fans and Hyper 12. I think I sold the Hyper 12 for somebody needed it for like $15 or something. Yep. It might have been, what's the space from work? They have a pump off thing. Who just screwed this one? I think he said he needed it for testing. Sure, I'm not going to use it. Yeah. And then, of course, when I actually plan to use it, I don't have it. Yeah, no, I was just gonna chuck it in there and, you know, probably more than I would just kind of use it up and add it to everything. And we could use this puppy, but I don't have the lead direct. I have an AMD backlit for it, but I don't have the AMD that. And that's actually really nice. You see what density says there? I'm really trying to make it more heat. They were smart on them though. They did not ship fans on it. Any of their fans were, yeah. I have 3 brand new NFF12s that are out there for them. Or 2 brand new ones that we can use. Yeah, it looks like the nothing sold again. Hold on. Woo! Use the stock ones. Alright. Yeah, no, it's up this now. Unless no, it's not over here. So I have like all the stuff I'm selling kind of sitting over there.
Alright, so sorry about being away from the camera there. We have no Hyper 212 and we have no Be Quiet fans. Looks like I sold the Hyper 212 off for a couple bucks because it was like the lower end one, like it's just the Hyper 212 LED. And then I know for a fact I gave away, excuse me, jeez. I gave away the Be Quiet fans to a buddy of mine. So, yeah. So we're not using Corsair fans because they're bad. Bad. More bad. We should probably see if like 2 140s even fit in here first. Probably. like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we might do two 140s in the front and one 140 in the back. But I generally have, I don't have sets of 3 140s, I have sets of 2 140s. What are these? These are Fractal Dynamic GP14s. Do I have another set of those? What's the name of these? Fractal Dynamic GP14. So we have 4 of them. Yeah, I'm going to have sets of 2 or sets of whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to have, because generally fans don't come in like odd numbered sets. These are pretty nice, Fantex ones.
Mm.
That still doesn't solve our rear fan issue though. These we don't want. Like they do move a crap ton of air, but they are, like you see the hubs on those? Like that is, those are speedy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do any of the, okay, so the bottom side panel has a cutout for the PSU, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
yeah.
I'm gonna see if I have a random 140 that we can just chuck in the back.
There's a filter for it too.
Yeah, but there's no fan mounts on any of the other side panels, correct? No.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. So we realistically need either leave the 200, which in this case we might be better off doing, and just pop a 140 in the rear. Or because I have all sets of 2 or 4, like we have 4 of these. Like I almost don't want to use these 4 Fractal GP140s because anybody who actually has a decent case could actually utilize 4.
Mm-hmm.
And does this hardware really need this? Probably not. Let's see if a single 140 around here is. That's not a Noctua. Because I do actually have enough Noctuas just kicking around to just...
Pushing you out the back, I assume?
Yeah, in the front. So either just big old 200, and we should probably just do that because it comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then 120. I mean, realistically, we don't have to go with 140 out the back. We could do a 120. Same issue with 120s right now. I have 2 sets of Fractal fans. I have 2 sets of Roseville fans. You know what I mean? I have all sets of 2. And those are that's 4, right? With those Corsairs.
Yeah.
My grandparents probably hate me for this.
And Leanley doesn't make amazing fans, but they're like
Decent.
Yeah. Alright. So what we got here, because I don't want to use upset, like okay, these fractals aren't great, but there's a set of 4, so this is a whole case theoretically.
Yeah.
Because if you do 2 in, 2 out, or 3 in, 1 out, whatever, full case. These
set basically.
Way too powerful and noisy. These amazing fans probably too good for this build as well. And I could break up the set. The thing is like, what am I going to do with one random fractal 140? Maybe we should do that, because these are actually good, though. But we have a 200. See, guys, like, here's the thing. Like, if I didn't have a 200 in the front already, like, if we didn't have any fans, it'd be like, yep, sure, we'll chuck 3 in right away. You know what I mean? And then we have one matching. But being that and this is a pretty beefcake. I don't know if you felt it, but it's actually, it's pretty chunky. Like,
yep.
You know. So our options for fans, we got 3 options here. We have a brand new cheap Cooler Master fan. I think this is off of a Hyper 212. Doesn't look very Hyper 212-y to me. With the curvy blades on it. We have a brand new Lian Li 120, which looks very standard, like a de facto standard case fan. Seems built well, like plastic wise, it's good. Somebody at work gave me this, I think. They're like, here. I'm like, thanks. And then this is what I think we're probably gonna go with, because the fan wise, oh, here, I didn't show these very well, right? Here's this Cooler Master. It's a cheap guy. Put it against my shirt or something. There. I think this is the one that comes with the Hyper 212. The hub on it is itty bitty. Generally speaking, I'm not saying a bigger hub on a fan makes a better fan, but generally that's the case. Like when Antec started cheaping out with their 200mm fans, suddenly the hub on them got to be like, yeah. Well, you can see on my Antec 900, they used to be like this size on your hand, like, you know, like kind of like this guy is. And it's like, I swear their 200 has a hub the size of that 120. Like that, yeah. It's just, and the blades break off super easy. Then we have this standard Lian Li, really standard case fan. And we actually have this big Lian Li 140. I think this is actually the one out of my ITX. And if you notice, it's got some you can barely see through it because the fan blades are very close together. That means we should be pretty quiet. Because a lot of the noise comes from these that try to push a lot of air at once, so they have big gaps between the blades. So you get a lot of that chop, 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 chop noise. Whereas this shouldn't have very much chop, chop, chop. And if you notice, this front one's actually pretty, like I said, Thermaltake's case, like, Thermaltake's fans aren't good, but they aren't, like, atrocious.
Shit.
Yeah. So I think we're going to go with this Lian Li right in the back there. Yeah. Kind of chilling, like a villain there. Does this have a 4-pin or a 3-pin on it? See, that's the other question. Because this is a 4-pin, which doesn't. Alright. So there's a decent chance that we're not even going to fan control these. We're just going to put them on low voltage adapters. And, you know, because whatever airflow is going to be enough airflow. And we can mount this puppy in the back right away. Twist this off. It doesn't feel built very well, but it seems like a better, like the fan blades feel cheap. You can kind of see when but like the actual like fanness of it seems better. Like it seems better at being a fan. I guess now that I now that I can't make it like good, like Hyper 212 with Be Quiet fans, fuck it. I also knew I had 3 Be Quiet fans. Like, so like that would have worked well.
Yeah.
And that was because it came out of like a triple radiator. You know, so normally I don't run into that because I don't use triple radiators that much.
But if I came down like that.
Yeah, like that, and it's gonna go down this. See this like little torn I mean, a screwdriver that's ratcheting.
Ratchets.
Ew, that's fine. I got it, man. Pop that down there for now.
Now what?
I'm gonna put this on the floor probably and start popping things in the motherboard. You know what we should probably do is actually put away that giant stack of fans.
What do you do?
I go buy and show up in the storage room, and I can help you because it is a lot of fans.
I have 4.
I kind of barely made it in here with all those.
All these. You want to take those? Point me in the correct direction. When you're done.
Some of these, if we like those Fantex ones, they're like still like the cheaper version of the Fantex. But they're like the blade arrangement. Like even if they kind of cheaped out on the bearing and the build quality, the blade arrangement is still the same as their good ones.
Yeah.
But we have that 200. Like we don't need a bunch of pressure in front. We got the 200 there.
Yeah.
All the rest of these go under here. I'll find he doesn't care about how many laser computer is and he's doing those to the next one. We're like, is this still doing second year?
Alright, so that's basically as far as we're going to get with this for now. We need a motherboard working together. Pop this over the bed.
She works.
Grab us a motherboard, grab us a CPU.
Cut the CPU open.
And sure. That does mean we're going to be using the stock cooler, which I thought we might when we were there, but then I was like, oh yeah, I got a Hyper 212. Yeah, you totally have Hyper 212. Where is it? Yeah. Not that we need it. We're not overclocking. We're not. And the AMD coolers are like kind of okay.
Yeah, not bad.
I think that is the lowest end one though.
Yeah, I don't think it's the Wraith cooler.
Well, no, the Wraith shipped with the 8350 or whatever, not the Wraith never shipped with.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought the Wraith cooler shipped with the Ryzen CPUs.
I don't think so. Look at the side. Look on the side of the box set.
CPU?
No. There's there might be Wraith, but they're like Wraith something. Or they have names now.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, this is a Wraith, I think. Should be that way.
Because Micro Center had
Here.
the coolers you could get separately.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a Wraith Spire. I bet. Alright.
AMD part number revision B.
It just calls it a thermal solution. I think the R5 R5 1600 cooler.
You can look at the part number.
Here are the top search results.
Wraith Spire.
Yeah, there too.
Wraith Spire. It's called. So technically, this is Wraith.
Okay.
Potato Wraith. Like if I recall, it goes Wraith Spire, Wraith Stealth, Wraith Prism. It does have a copper core, which Intel can't say. Theirs have.
Can you put the badge sticker on there?
No. Put that.
That shoosh out of there.
Ooh. Take this too. We don't need any of that.
Just throwing things out.
Yeah, don't throw it out because we want to make sure it works first. But once it
works,
we chuck it out. And I highly doubt the CPU is going to. Yeah, I go with the B450 Here, you can probably stick this in the case. Well, you know, it's kind of chilling away. Don't forget to put your I/O shield in. The number of computers that we see at work without I/O shields, man. Oh, you don't need those. It works fine. Yeah, until you go and plug in your flash drive, and that's when you burn down your building that works.
Fine. Fine. You know? Fine.
Yeah, as much as this being the cheapest micro ATX AMD or AMD board at Microsoft at the time, I think it's actually, at least of the budget offerings, like the sub $100 or $100 and less offerings, I think it's the best one.
Yeah.
Well, if I recall, this might even have Intel LAN.
Alright, so we're gonna put this bad boy.
Let's see. It has supposedly dual M.2 for SSD, but I think only one of them is NVMe. It has USB 3.1 Gen 2, one Type-C, one Type-A in the back. They say ELNA audio caps, whatever. It's still garbage Realtek onboard audio. Super alloy, whatever. I would be more worried that it actually, since it actually has heat sinks on it. It says gigabit LAN. What kind of gigabit LAN does it have? Realtek gigabit LAN. So that, I guess that would be the one downside of this. I think if you go one step up, which they did have there, it just wasn't on sale. You would get gigabit Intel LAN.
Yeah.
So. Oh, this also does not have. If you were planning on using the APU, this board does not have DisplayPort. Only has HDMI, DVI-D, and D-sub. No DisplayPort. And if you want to use adaptive sync, you need that there DisplayPort.
Yeah.
I think technically FreeSync has it over HDMI, but
yeah.
I think that's mostly TVs that support that. Alright, careful getting your CPU out of the package. Lift up your little arm. There should be a little arrow on your CPU and a little arrow on your socket. You lift her up.
We're cutting this bad boy open in two.
And you put her in. Yeah. We need probably RAM next. Then you put it in there and you put down the arm. You wiggle. I usually wiggle it left to right a little bit. Do not be like people I had at work the other day, which was they managed to remove the CPU cooler with the CPU attached, which does happen on AMD. The key is to twist it. Once you loosen here, you pop it. Just put it back in the box. I don't put case badges on anything.
It's there on the RAM.
What they did is because they pulled it out without lifting the arm up, they tried putting it back in without lifting the arm up and bent a shit ton of pins.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah, I fixed it. I got it working.
Yeah. Just crying inside.
Yeah, I was. Oh, and the thing with the Fortis, just as a heads up, it doesn't have heat sinks. Those are stickers. I think they're technically thermally conductive stickers, but you're buying budget RAM with the Fortis.
Yeah.
It's AMD compatible. That's what you're paying for, basically.
FlareX is what you want.
Yeah, ideally you want like 3200, or if you're like me with the 32 gigs and 2 sticks, you can't get 3200. It's only
Put this back in here until you know which two slots you need.
I think there was an altered. Hold on. I think there's an updated. Yeah, here, look. Updated thing. I know I saw something in there. A1, B1, A1. So do we want the A's and the B's or the? Does it actually tell me which? Okay, let's see here. If we have 2, we want A2, B2, it says. So, the second. This way?
Could be.
Yeah, this build, and to be truthful, like I said, I mean, just because you don't use 3200 memory in your Ryzen build does not mean your Ryzen build is somehow immediately shit. It's just, and realistically, that 33,000 or 2933, 3200, that's when you're overclocking. And we're not going to be overclocking this, so this is what, 2400?
Yep.
Good enough. That's basically what this entire build is.
Good
which
enough.
is perfectly fine because it's from my grandparents.
Good enough.
And it's already way better than. Like, think about it. I was trying to aim for a 2400 APU.
Yeah.
With for $500 or a 2200 for $400. What are you looking for? Cooler?
Get the cooler there.
Yeah, I gotta take apart the thing. Yeah, because it doesn't use the clamps; it bolts straight in. They still give you the clamps though because some coolers expect the clamps. They do not recommend
mechanism.
Using the clamps. Oh, and just so you know, technically, and I've done it in a pinch, you can use AM3 coolers that use the clamps. It will mount. However, the mounting pressure between an AM4 CPU and an AM3 CPU is different. I also believe that the mounting height is different. Like how far the CPU sits off of the thing. So that means, you know, like I think it like AM3 might not clamp down hard enough or far enough, like one of the two or something like that. So like I have used them in a pinch, but I wouldn't long term run it that way if you can avoid it, because
dude, you just zip tie down your CPU cooler.
I pressed it. Yeah.
It'll be fine.
It was fine for a while.
Did that for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Zip ties, actually, he probably risked tightening it down too far more than anything, because he had no control over like how hard he was.
Dude's got some cojones.
Well, you just have no control over. Oh, here's another thing that I see happen. Even Anthony from Linus Tech Tips did this, and he realized it after the fact on his recent build.
Yeah, you don't put that towards the RAM.
Everybody puts the freaking AMD logo towards the RAM. You overhang your RAM slot, and if you have either tall sticks of RAM or you have all 4 sticks of RAM, you're blocking a slot, and you're going to bend it, or you won't be able, like say if you put the RAM in first like we did, you won't be able to get the RAM out without taking the CPU cooler out. Make sure the logo goes to the left. That's where the clearance is, clearance AMD put aside for it is. And then you don't miss any RAM slots or anything like that. You're good. But we see that all the freaking time. I've had people come in with bent memory slots. I've had people come in, oh, yeah, for some reason it's not working. And you look at it, and their RAM is just not even in. Because they try and put it in the closer slot, and you just flat out can't when that, like, logo is overhanging there.
You want me to install this little bad boy?
Oh, yeah.
Or do they got a thingamajigger on the board?
No, they don't. I mean, it's got a slot, but we don't have a heatsink. That's why we bought one. And what did we end up? So the options were either a 512 gigabyte Intel 660, which is a QLC cashless SSD. And what were these? Roughly $60, right? Like something like that after the deals we had.
Can't recall.
Something like that. I think they were roughly $60. I might have had $5 more off of the one we did buy was a 970 EVO Plus 256. The Intel 660p was 512. However, I know that my grandparents currently have a 120 gig SSD and are a little bit over half full. And I don't see them suddenly needing a bunch more storage. Worst case, we can always drop a hard drive in here. Don't worry about that right now. What are you digging around there for? That's power supply, right? Yeah, we need a case and a bunch of other stuff for that first. But yeah, so so we went with the 256 gig 970 EVO Plus because it's quicker than the Intel 660. Will be a considerably better boot drive. Like, not that the 660 is bad. If I was building a gaming build, I probably would have sided with the 660 because with 512 gigs of storage, you can actually install a decent amount of games.
Yeah.
Without having a hard drive.
Yeah.
That's probably like the one change I would have done if it wasn't for my grandparents. You know, like if it wasn't mainly a like web browsing documenting billing machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like an everyday computer, basically.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, you're using a 1600 and a 960 for an everyday PC? Yeah, it was literally cheaper to do that. Like, the 2400G APU was $129.
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense. And then what? I would have gone ITX, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ITX motherboard was more money too. Cheapest ITX board was $100. That was a bad one too. It was like, yeah, I have to cut it. Remember?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the thicker one goes on top or on the bottom. I think it goes.
Says on here.
Yeah, I think the thinner one goes on the bottom. Then
it says 1mm thermal pad on top, 0.5 3mm thermal pad on the bottom.
Oh, yep.
And you're gonna need a skizzer, right? We'll grab a skizzer.
Knife.
Knife's under here. Here.
Nice and all over the place.
Yeah, I want it every workbench.
It's a bad idea. Don't cut towards yourself.
That's fine. I remember when a manager at work, or technically higher than that, was giving me crap like, oh, you couldn't towards yourself. And I just cut towards myself again right in front of me. I was cutting tape.
Mm-hmm.
When they say don't cut towards yourself, they mean like cardboard, wood, like things with resistance. Tape you can cut with like anything mildly like hard. It doesn't have to be sharp. I remember when I was working at the high school doing tech support there, and they wouldn't let me carry my knife around, even though like I totally carried it around during school and I wasn't supposed to. So I kept using a PCI Express bracket as my knife to cut open boxes, like cut open tape on boxes, because it's sharp enough to do the job. And then I had actually taped one up with electrical tape.
You're a monster.
So that I actually had grip on it. They're like, oh, what's that knife? I'm like, it's a PCI Express bracket.
That's where you got the gift from.
Yeah, that's where I did it last time. Yeah. Didn't have a knife, so I improvised. Oh, also, whenever you open up your motherboard box, pay the freak attention, because there's these little tiny screws in here that are for NVMe drives. And if you lose those, you will hate yourself, because they cost like $20 on eBay. Because you can't just buy them.
Yeah.
Because, and I think these are the dumbest things ever, because you see how massive that head is, and you see how tiny the little threads are. So easy to strip them and break them off. Like, they should really use like bigger screws.
Yeah.
But they don't. And then like it's super easy to over torque. Like this nut is like the size of a socket. Never use a socket on. Always use your fingers. Just make it finger tight, because it only goes in like, you see how long this thread is? That's how long that tall. What I'm talking about is there's a standoff for the NVMe drive right here, and you could torque that down like really hard, because it's a hex, right? The thing is if you see how short this stem is on this little screw, right?
Yeah.
That's how long the stem is on that standoff.
Yeah.
So if you just put a little bit too much torque on it, you just snap it off. I think you've been here when I've like been like ripping those apart. And the thing is, like, once again, you can't get NVMe standoffs or screws. So they're like $20 on eBay. It's like, I don't get why nobody just sells like, here's a pack of 10 of each, because we know these break all the time. Or maybe they should solve the issue of them breaking all the time. And the reason why they break is because their NVMe drives, remember, are from laptops, not desktops. So they're tiny, and desktops are big. You know, that's... Oh, one downside of this real budget board is we have USB 3.0 header, but no USB 3.1 header. You do have two 3.1s in the back, but if you want to use it on the front, you're going to have to use an extension. In our case, it's not going to be an issue because it's going to be sideways, so you can pretty easily access both the front and the back at the same time. So, you know what bugs me about most coolers? You see they don't put the freaking logo on the back, and it like goes like just bugging me. Like, how hard would it have been for you to? Like, it's literally not worth the time. You know what I would say? Then don't put your fucking logo on it.
They got an uneven logo.
No, it's like the sticker's not in the center. But it's a paper sticker, so ripping it off is going to be an issue. Okay, so do you have you got the NVMe drive? You gonna cut it down then? Cut down the...
Oh, I need some scissors.
I thought you said the knife was good enough.
No, knife was good enough to cut the package open. Not to cut that stuff. I wouldn't trust that.
Gotcha. There you go. Use a skizzer. If you're doing stuff like this, buy non-stick scissors. Fiskars makes them. A couple other brands make them. They're always Teflon coated. They got black. Just be aware you can't sharpen them. So if they get dull, just buy a new pair. And the reason why you can't sharpen them is because if you sharpen them, you sharpen Teflon right off.
How far am I going then?
You go from just above the contacts to just below the screw. I don't know what kind of NVMe drive they have. You know what I mean? Like, you see how long that is?
Yeah.
Like, the heatsink's not even that long.
You got a Sharpie or something?
Oh, you're gonna make me get up and get a Sharpie now, too? Jeez, man. Just give me crap. Just give me crap.
With a pen.
Like, we're not even changing out the,
Here, we got a pen.
Here, here's a proper permanent marker Sharpie.
Woo. Just throw some.
You could take it out of there, otherwise it can be, like, better.
No, it's
They're looking at it.
I'll just leave it in there so it's protected.
It's fine.
That should be good.
It's like if you notice I'm wearing slippers on carpet building a computer. It's fine. Tell Apple that with our Apple training. It's fine. No, it's really not
There
fine.
you go. Plenty good enough. Look at that. Plenty good. Alright, so now we just take that, do the same thing for this one.
So, you know what I want to show the Apple people that wrote that thing? Is the video of, like, I think it was, not Bad C-Tech, crap, I can't remember his name.
Okay.
He's about the same size as Bad C-Tech.
Kind of small.
Yeah.
Yes, but C-Tech's like
Brian?
10K.
BPS Customs.
Yeah.
He has a video with he and Gamers Nexus toured a bunch of things for Cooler Master, and they just show like guys at Cooler Master using the static electricity gun, just like zapping the shit out of their keyboards, being perfectly fine.
That's a keyboard.
Yeah, still has electronics in it. Intel showed with motherboards, like they do the same thing with motherboards, like freaking when they still made them.
Yeah.
People like Intel made motherboards exactly.
They did.
Yeah. No. I mean, like it's been that long now.
Almost certainly did.
That.
Yeah. Alright, now we'll touch contacts. There we go. That's better. Fail. That's the label there. Alright, there you go. There's that.
Oh, this next part's complete bip, isn't it? I remember.
Peel this stuff off, don't
What we're doing right now is we're installing NVMe heatsink. We literally caught it like as we were leaving, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
We're just kind of peeking at, oh, blah, blah, blah. And we remembered. Not necessarily required. I would say for higher end drives, I would recommend one. If your motherboard doesn't already have one. In this case, the cheap motherboard doesn't. They're like, what, $10 roughly? $12 maybe?
Something like that.
I think the nickel-plated one is $15. They didn't have the nickel-plated one, but my nickel-plated one Watson has.
Watson.
Yeah. Yeah, I do recommend them, especially on the higher performance drives. They're worth the money. The lower performance ones, 660p, It's a budget drive. Wouldn't recommend it. Now, if you're doing what I do on GPC and it's on an ITX port on the back side, and there's no CPU cutout and there's no way it's getting air, add a heatsink to it, because my 600p overheats like after 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not ideal. It's still quicker than any SATA drive ever would be. I think it's the exact same. You know what I mean? But like it's the definition of not ideal.
Alright. Smoosh it down.
You gotta remember, the PC we're building right now was roughly $400 before the 964 gig. It might even be, it was like $375 or something like that. So then what you can do is, like, what I would have done for an actual gaming build would have been a 660p instead of the SSD that we got, and then a 570 or a 580. 570 was about $120. 580 was anywhere from 190 to 210, depending on which model you wanted. Oh, it didn't come all at once. That sucks, dude.
Bastards. Alright, let's see if I can get this clip on.
Those are complete pain, I remember. EK makes some, these, the ones we had. I think some other brands make other ones. If you need a riser card too, I highly recommend the, what one did we get? The Alpha Cool? The one that, with the riser card with the built-in heatsink. Do you have the logo the right? Yeah, you do. Okay, never mind. Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
A little bit of thermal pad sticking out, but
that's
whatever.
I'd rather have too much thermal pad than not enough thermal pad. And I think when we did our other ones too, we cut them longer than they said.
There we go. I think that's it. I believe we got that right.
Twitch. I mean, it sounded like you did. That seemed, maybe they loosened up the clip tension, because I remember like we like pre-ordered ours originally, so I never got to use mine because I gave it to Watson.
Yep.
The thing you really want to cool here, and Gamers Nexus goes over this, but like they say you technically don't even want to cool the NAND because NAND does better when it's warm. But the thing is if you didn't put thermal pads over the NAND, this would not be even. And technically, well, you want to for sure cool the controller. And Samsung's controllers are known to overheat.
Cook.
Yeah. And technically, it's only under like super stressful loads. Yada yada yada. But I don't want to risk it. Basically, like there's no.
Put it in there.
It's worth it for $10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why risk it?
Especially because it's just a little thing you snap on.
Yeah. Like let's put it this way. Like it's a known issue, the fact that Western Digital is now shipping their new black drives with heatsinks.
Yeah.
You know, think about the Optane drive. Remember how that ships, like it's available as M.2 without which originally shipped without a heatsink, and then now Newegg, we want to keep those.
Toss them in the box. I'll put in the box.
Okay. We don't need them for this per se. I just want to keep them for my other water cooling stuff, basically.
Gotcha.
But now Intel will not let you buy the M.2 Optane drives without buying a heatsink, because they overheat and they were getting returns. Well, that's my guess. I can't say that for sure.
Yeah.
But you cannot add the Optane drive to your cart without adding a heatsink. And, well, the reason, and I know why they don't come with heatsinks, is because they assume they're in servers.
Yeah.
Which are either going to have a massive amount of cooling, or like heatsinks built into the case, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, So they're assuming you're putting it into a motherboard that's either designed to use the case as a heatsink or has heatsinks already on the motherboard.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like normal consumers were like, oh, this Octane drive is like not a giant thing anymore. I'm gonna buy that and I'm just gonna put it in my computer and well, you've seen it, like the big. I showed you the inside of the big Octane. Like that's a full blown ASIC on like the thing that controls that. Like there's a reason why it has a giant ass heatsink. Can you grab
garbage?
Not yet.
Oh, case is returned.
Yeah, we want to make sure everything works. Not, I mean, like the heatsink's not gonna break.
Yeah.
But just in case.
Packaging.
Want to grab me one of the Phillips #1 screwdrivers over there? Either the yellow handle or the yeah, that one or the one right next to it are fine. Just because the one of the few laptop screws in this whole shit here. Alright, here you go. So we're in. M.2 that you want to use on this one is the one above the graphics card. Let's pull this up here. Graphics card in this case is here. Then they put the M.2 there. There's also another M.2 down here, but that is SATA only. Part of the reason why we chose this board is because they did put the M.2 above the graphics card. A lot of ones will put it here. The thing is, if you have a standard graphics card that has 2 fans on it, it's basically dumping all of it, maybe not all, but a good portion of its heat straight into the M.2. And then you definitely want a heatsink again. So we're going into more reasons why you want a heatsink. Now, the reason why this board is awesome is because say if you had a bigger cooler up here, your graphics card's not going to impede on it because it's lower down. And usually a lot of 1X cards are half height too, so they're not going to hit your big-ass cooler. And then it also gives you a nice place to put your M.2. So, like, what I don't get... Well, I get it. It's just that ASRock seems to actually think about their low-end boards, whereas all the other brands are like, that's a low-end board, it doesn't really matter what it is, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, there's...
Yeah.
And that's why I've been buying ASRock lately. I have a feeling we're probably going to buy, like, maybe for your computer, be like a Tai Chi, which is like their second highest end, I think, board, or highest end board. But, like, ever since they came with their Tai Chi line, it's like, they managed. You remember like this what the Sabertooth always used to be, where like you manage to check all the boxes, but it's not $1 billion. Like it's more expensive, but it's not like ROG boards, which are like $300 to $500. It would be $200 instead of $100 or $150. But it had like you had the better network card, you had the better like the better yada yada, you had the better build quality. That's kind of how the Tai Chi is. But.
In the box.
Of course. We'll probably never get that box back.
Sleeping on the phone.
Which one of these is the CPU? Okay, CPU fan. One is this guy right here. Dude, it has an like even. Did you see this? The base motherboard has an RGB header. The fuck it.
RGBs.
Gotta get them RGBs, guys. Your base motherboard has RGB header nowadays. They could have saved me like 10 cents. But shit wasn't on there.
Yep.
What's my problem with RGBs? A base motherboard does not need RGBs. That's my problem with RGBs. You might be asking, how is that a problem with RGB? Like, you can just not use it. Well, CPU fan to water. Okay, so I have it plugged into the correct one now. So into the case we go, I guess. Is that you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just fix the pan.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, this motherboard is way better thought out than the $100. I refused to buy MSI, so I looked at the $100 Asus and Gigabyte.
Mm-hmm.
The Gigabyte Asus had no heat sinks on anything. Then it had the 1X slot below the graphics card, thus unusable. It had the M.2 below the graphics card, which is a common spot because there's extra room there. But like, you're getting all the heat then, and also they did not do the thing where they move, like generally speaking, the thing where you move the graphics card down a slot is only on higher end boards because they only assume higher end boards are going to have bigger heat sinks.
Yeah.
But like, why not do it on every board? Like, because you don't gain anything by not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, this layout is just a better... Because, like, you know, we're going to cover up this with CMOS barrier. So, pulling the CMOS barrier, take my graphics card out.
Yeah, that's dumb.
To be truthful, what they should have done is abandon this second M.2 because it's a SATA M.2. There's no point in having just a SATA M.2 anymore, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They probably wanted to add that just for checkboxes on the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could have put this guy right there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have rather just had more SATA ports. So you could have, you know, cut that guy off, put 2 more SATA ports here, and then put the CMOS battery there, and then voila.
Yeah, but now you have an NVMe drive and then a SATA.
Ooh.
Like your boot drive and then your
SATA M.2
storage
drive.
for those.
So fast. What if I just used the SATA drive instead?
Those, you know, quad layer big drives.
Those are NVMe. Those are 660p's.
Oh, shit. Never mind.
But yeah, and they're literally like the 660p's are getting cheaper than SATA based SSDs now.
Yeah.
And I think I saw like a terabyte for $65 one day or something just ludicrous.
I was telling Derek, I think, and Alex on Monday that I saw those 120s. You know, like they're crap drives, but it's like $17.
Yeah.
For an SSD.
Yeah.
It was like.
And it was $30 for like a 240.
Yeah.
Like just $30.
I mean, maybe they'll start fire, but like an SSD.
The downside with all of those, and I can't recommend any of those as a boot drive, is they're cacherless. Yeah. All of the really, really, really low end SSDs now don't have cache, and that's why they're so cheap. Because what they do, as they say on it, is they don't have to put any DDR3 or DDR4 in them to add as a cache to the controller. So you just use some of the NAND. What that means, though, is once you exceed that cache,
you start killing your drive.
You start killing your drive, and it just becomes ball-ass slow because it can't dump it quick enough, basically. You know what I mean? Like, because you're actually using the NAND to cache. Like, your controller's having to, you know, like, read and write. It was like when Halo on console, like, once you could, on the 360... you could eventually start copying your games to the console, right? Except the Halo guys didn't recommend it because they already cached your maps to the hard drive from the disk. So if you copied your disk to the hard drive, it would then copy from the hard drive, thinking it was a disk, to the hard drive. And the thing is reading from a hard drive back to itself halves your speed, whereas reading from the disk to the hard drive is still quicker. Yeah. Because you're going from a different device to each other. You know what I mean? Eventually they did patch that in Halo 3, where it didn't, like, if it saw that you already had it on your hard drive, it wouldn't, like, try to cache it, because it's like, it's right there. But initially, that was a hack they did on there, so you didn't have to run disks.
Do you need a standoff something?
Trying to grab the case. Yeah, we probably put some, no, those are built in, I think, built into the case. So like,
they got the raised portions of them.
Yeah.
What do?
What do? You put it in there, and we screw it in.
Like, I guess, yeah. You just slide it on in. It just looks like you should be able to.
Well, yeah, I just don't want to bother taking all this shit out because...
Yeah, pain in the ass.
Pretty much, yeah.
Don't need that. Except we'll probably need the screws, I can imagine.
They're not in there, they're going to be in that thing that we pulled off the case.
Thing that we pulled off the case, I guess. This thing. Oh, yeah. No, they got standoff things here. couple at least.
You have all of them. Okay.
Yeah, they got 2 old ones. Brass ones, whatever.
We don't need them.
Okay.
They picked all the default spots. So, I don't know which screws I need. I should probably figure that out. I think it's the coarser ones. No, those are fan screws. Right? Those are all the screws. Never mind.
I was gonna say they got some stuff here.
These are just all the screws. So.
And then we got this random screw just skipping around. I don't know if that's all good.
I can toss that up.
Got this little guy right here just. I don't know why he's in there. Just random.
Hey guys, we forgot one screw in every computer. Just chuck it in the back. Or every case. Just chuck it in the back. Yeah, there's definitely enough Z height in this case for
yeah.
for putting a cooler on there. If only I hadn't sold my Hyper G12 for like $10 probably. Might have been somebody else at work too. Cause like we don't sell CPU teller coolers. And the cheapest cooler we sell is the H60.
Sure you didn't put in the Tyler's first one?
No, that's a Zolman. It's still sitting over there. Actually, you can see it. It's right there, still. That's okay. Because we didn't steal the case. Well, the case. Well, the case is right there. Remember, like my server's temporarily built in it. While I'm waiting on fixing my Antec 900 to actually fit it properly. This turns out a case from more than 10 years ago. Fitting modern hardware properly is kind of a joke. Also, when they didn't design the case with... The cable management was not a thing to be existed yet. What's cable management? What do you mean manage my cables?
Yeah.
Don't you just like jam them in the bottom? Alright. We're getting there. Oh, and we ended up with this case because there might be better options. If you think you have better ones, throw them down in the comments / chat. But we wanted a micro ATX native case to save on size. And based on what was there, this was by far the best option. Like, by far. By the way, I've been using the wrong screws. I swear when I'm not sleep deprived, I'm much better doing this. I'm tired of shit right now, dude.
I hear you.
All we gotta do is get this to post.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it after that. Wait, are 960s? Yeah, 960s are UEFI compatible. It was the 700 series that was kind of weird, where it was like kind of not UEFI and kind of UEFI. I was trying to remember, because this is gonna be a full UEFI build. I didn't want to like, oh yeah, you know, you tried carrying with the 960. Yeah, that means you can't boot as UEFI. Oh, rip. And it's gonna boot like molasses. Like this thing should boot basically instantly. Yeah. However, if we weren't able to get an NVMe drive in it, it would be, or not NVMe, UEFI boot, it would be like, as it boots up each device individually, just like,
yeah,
you're just cranking the old hand crank, you know. Hey dude, check this out. What if we just plug this case fan right over there? That'll be nice, you know. Yeah, this build isn't anything special, really. Yeah, if you guys think you can do something better than us, like I said, was $80 for the 1600. Motherboard was 60 or 70, I don't remember. But then we got $30 off because of bundle. The NVMe drive, which I wouldn't recommend necessarily, unless you're doing the same sort of build. Like if you're doing a gaming build, I would say 660p. 660p was $60 for a 512. I've seen them cheaper than that. I definitely have.
Quad layer NAND?
Yeah, it's the quad layer NAND.
You just use it as a boot drive.
You could use it for games too. I mean, 512 is enough.
Yeah.
Or you can even go to a terabyte, because like I said, I think we saw those like a terabyte down to like.
What's the greatest drawback to those? Just write endurance, basically.
Write endurance, and those 660p's don't have cache. So if you do like start doing like video editing or something on it, it's gonna
start pooping out.
Yeah. It'll get real slow. Like and they also need a firmware update, because out of the box, if you exceed the like, it doesn't have a cache. It's using NAND. So if you exceed the NAND cache, it will become slower than a hard drive if you don't update the firmware. Because there's like some Intel did something dumb, and you need to update the firmware, and it doesn't do that anymore.
Intel doing dumb stuff. Nah.
But that 660p, like for the money, it's really good. But it was $60. I think I got a $5 discount on the 970 EVO Plus. I think it was $60 after that $5 discount.
It's not bad.
The NVMe heatsink, technically not needed. If you're going with a 660 in this location, like on this motherboard, you're fine.
What about that 970? Would that need it?
I would recommend it for the 970. Yeah, Samsungs are known to overheat.
What 950 Pro that I got?
Yeah, even more. Like that was the original overheating drive.
Good. That one actually is one of the coolest drives in my computer. With that.
But it has a heatsink, a giant like.
Yeah, it's fine.
Alpha cool. Once you build your new computer, though, you won't need that anymore.
Yes, but you know.
Because you'll literally have a slot on your motherboard for it. You might even have a heatsink built into your motherboard, actually, too. Depending on which motherboard.
If I don't, I just use that thing again.
Well, no, you won't be able to. Because your 4X slot's going to go through your chipset, and that will significantly slow it down. Because right now, the reason why your NVMe goes straight to your CPU is because you use a butt ton of CPU lanes and basically no chipset lanes. However, you're stepping down to a consumer, and they basically have almost no CPU lanes and a butt ton of chipset lanes. Like the current Intel has 16 lanes coming from the CPU and 20 coming from the chipset. However, the chipset is actually like the CPU to chipset connection is only a 4X lane connection.
Oh, good.
So if you put an NVMe drive in there and then you try to like use your SATA hard drive too at the same time, it's gonna be like Wah! Wah! Just throwing up everywhere. Yeah, it's basically, and people are like, oh, it's not gonna bottleneck. I'm like, and they're like, yeah, why would it bottleneck? I'm only using the one NVMe drive anyway. I'm like, you do realize that like literally, even your sound card, your onboard sound card, and your LAN, those all go through the chipset on Intel. On AMD, not necessarily. Because they have the 3.1 Gen 2, they have a certain amount of them, like the 2 on here go directly to the CPU. This NVMe drive, directly to the CPU. Then they have 4 lanes that go to the chipset. It might be 8. I forget exactly. But it's definitely a smarter layout than Intel. However, Intel can't change it because, oh look guys, they're still on 14 nanometer and haven't changed their base CPU architecture in like a billion generations.
Years.
Yeah, so, and people wonder why they're hurting a bit. Dude, it's got 2 more RGB headers.
Nice.
The fuck? Here's the cheapest micro ATX motherboard we sell. Got 3 RGB headers on it. That's when you know RGB is. But do people not? Because like a RGB strip is like $10.
Yep.
Maybe not 10 now, but like last time I bought them, like with Peyton's build, we spent $100 on RGB. If you're building a $400 to $500 computer, you best not be spending $100 on RGB in addition to that. Because that is literally a quarter to a fifth of your computer on fucking RGB.
RGB. Yeah, but you know, you can show it off and RGB.
With your potato motherboard. I would be like, okay, I see your potato motherboard and I see your potato RAM. Maybe you should have spent that.
RGB.
Or you have your base model RX 580. You know, it's like the basic cooler for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you realize if you would have spent $100, you could got like an NVIDIA and like a step up. RGB.
Grumble, RGB.
Okay, so here's my idea, Screws. We're just going to plug this guy in right here.
Okay.
Right there. If I can get it there. Right
Okay.
there. And then we'll tie wrap it. Right?
Okay.
Dude, I am motor control, not very motor controlled right now.
You gonna get the power supply out then?
What do we got left? Is that it? Graphics card, but graphics card goes in last, pretty much.
Yeah.
Power supply is it. I mean,
Yeah.
oh, part of the reason why we also picked this case, for those wondering, being a cube style case, there is a crap ton of room to stash our 86 bajillion extra power supply cables that we're never going to use.
I suppose this isn't a modular.
No, that is basically the opposite of a modular power supply. Hey, we added extra cables because, you know, you might still be using a floppy drive.
This one? That's not too bad.
They're at least the flat cables, aren't they?
Some of them, yeah.
They're at least the flat. Some of them.
Cable.
Oh, I was watching Netflix and they're promoting their new like anime series, and I'm like, Ingress. That sounds like familiar. Ingress. That logo looks familiar. They made a fucking anime about a fucking mobile game. Ingress is the one that Pokemon Go is based on.
Okay.
So there's an anime, and then I watched some like part of the first episode. I'm like, this is butts, man. This is literally butts. And then I went. There was like a live chat from Anime News Network when it first came out about it, and they're like, yeah, I had no idea what Ingress was, but once they started literally playing the mobile game in the anime, I fairly quickly understood what was going on. And I'm like, wait. They're playing the mobile game. So you're saying this is basically just one big advertisement. I can't, dude. I fucking can't.
Yep.
I literally cannot. Here, you want to see my tie wrap job? Look at that. Look at that tie wrap job. That's about as good as we see at work.
Beautiful.
Fucking shit, man. Why can't I tie wrap right now? 3 hours of sleep and
sleep, yeah. Oh, there's some screws here too.
yeah, that's probably a whole power supply. You may or may not need those.
4 of them.
Yeah, like I said, the whole power supply. But yeah, so I was like, oh, and it's once again like they always make like they've made different genres in the past, but the past like 5 anime that Netflix has made is always like the sci-fi psychological drama, and every time they do it, they make it worse somehow. Because there was one way at the beginning that was actually decent in that regard, and then every time it's the same. And Netflix must really think people want that, because all of their like the last 5 they've made are all the sci-fi psychological drama. They seem to not realize though, if if you only have like one anime every now and then, like Netflix themselves make, like they always also host other people's anime, right? Mm-hmm. But if you only make one anime every now and then, you can't make the same damn one every time. That's what they're doing, and they subsequently make it worse every time. I think I was trying to explain to you and Derek the one day about the one with, it's like Hero X Mask or something like that, and like in this second episode though, like this guy that just took out like 20 police officers. Like there was like a GPS tracker bullet, and he purposely activated it so that the one guy, like the main protagonist, would come and find him. He goes on his own to go get this guy. Guy just took out 20 police officers on his own.
I think you were
Soul dude. Goes and try and takes him down. Yeah. What? No, you fucking like get a SWAT team and you go and drop his ass. You don't send like.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, Scott. You're thinking too logically. You're not thinking anime, okay?
It just makes no goddamn sense.
What's up, buddy? Oh, in a box.
Oh, and they even at one point figured out like what superpower he had or something like that. Like, oh, he could change his face, and that was bulletproof. And then it's like, yeah, I still got this. I'm like, you're a regular guy. This guy can change who he is at any point in time, and is bulletproof. Yeah. How are you fine?
It's fine. I just punch him.
Like I was.
Box, man. You're looking at.
And like there was B, like I think B the Beginning was one of the earlier Netflix ones, and that was actually pretty good. But, and then they did Devilman Crybaby. Devilman Crybaby is pretty good as well. But then they like do this shit where it's like the same psychological sci-fi drama done worse every time, and then like this time, like I said, now it's just a freaking advertisement for a freaking mobile game. Like it's not even like they're not even trying anymore. It's funny. And like when they were describing it, like yeah, and you know how I know it was for a mobile game? When they started because they had no idea what Ingress was. When they started playing the mobile game in the end, wait, what? There, what?
Yeah. Hey. What you doing? So let's check out on Sunday noon.
Oh, I didn't get that from yet. It's 11 if it's not late checkout. At least that's what it's been in the past. Either way, getting like what we can do, and we've done this in the past too. If we don't have late checkout, what we do is we pack the car first, get out of the room, and then we go back to the convention. You know, like we'll go stop at the convention after that time. Otherwise, what we do is we'll what do we gonna call it? Well, you know, we can go there, like, if we have till, like, 4 or something, we can take our fucking time. Yeah. Doing whatever we want to do. So... God. Yeah, we're almost done with this. I just gotta figure out where we want this. I want to do this fan thing here. Oh, you know what I think we're better off doing here? Okay, this guy, this is a 3.0 header. This has got to go in the front here. Like, it's this big burly thing that's awful. Whoever designed this needs to be, like, taken into a dark room and shot. And I sincerely mean that. Like,
it's quiet. Too quiet.
Yeah? Oh, in my that's because we also started streaming at 1 a.m. on a Wednesday?
It's fine. People.
I don't even know if I had, like, responses on my Instagram or Twitter. You know what I mean? Let's go. Take exchange the... Alright. Dude, my thumb is numb from writing so much. Like, cause I've been like taking notes for all those like Apple stuff. Yeah, and the tip of my thumb is literally numb. What's up? I will say so far this case is not the easiest to work in. If we disassembled it fully and took all these like panels off the top that are like rad mounts and fan mounts and shit, we could probably be a heck of a lot easier. But I saw no need to do that. I was probably wrong. Here's where your longer tie wraps come into play, because we got you know, we can loop this here. And what I'm doing is there's a nice little notched channel here that I'm going to tie wrap this audio cable into, and that will keep it nice and clean. And then we will do the same with, we don't have any front USB 2, so we can ignore that. We will do the same with this fan cable though. And then I will tie wrap them all together and make them all nice and tidy. You wanna find the front panel headers in here? Because that's the next thing I'm gonna have to do. Alright, we'll get that in there.
CPU connector, serial ATA.
It should be in that section
ATX power, serial port header, chassis intrusion, TPM header.
Nope, not yet.
And PCI lock, beep. 3 volt. Insert the thingamajigger. No.
Should just be called front panel header. Or front panel LEDs and switches or something like that.
Onboard headers and connectors.
Yeah.
System panel header.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Doesn't it? So we're gonna do some tidy-ish cable management. Yeah, like imagine the monitor here. You're gonna be looking up the whole time.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a bit tall.
Here's the thing.
Let me just tidy this up here a little bit. Just a wee bit, you know.
Huh? People.
What? Really?
No, there's no one watching.
Yeah, 2 watchers. I think one of them is probably me. Yeah, I mean, just maybe not. Thank you for the 2 people who have been here the whole time. If you're there,
People just ASMR. PC build up.
I'm actually gonna send this straight to YouTube. That's why I'm not playing any music, so I don't have to edit it out. Because normally I use whatever the fuck I want to listen to, which is not okay on YouTube. Technically not okay on Twitch either, except they seem to not care unless you're like hosting it, like permanently or whatever. And I don't have the ability to do that because I don't stream it. When Preston was back last time for like spring break, or we had actually streamed like 3 times in a week. I was actually pretty close to being whatever thingamajig.
Partnered.
No, it's an affiliate. No, it's not the one where you like you can start doing stuff, but you're not like whatever. Doesn't seem to be like I think it's affiliate. Is what it is. It's does not seem to be that hard to get that
An affiliate link.
affiliate program. So that's when you can like kind of start making money, but it's like they're not actively helping you make it. I guess kind of maybe. You like how much I, totally clearly know about that, kind of sort of maybe. Shit, am I tired, man?
Yeah.
We'll get this puppy done. I do like this. Like, look how nice that is for cable managing this run IO.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. This case in general, like, not like it looked pretty decent when we saw it at Micro Center. It was definitely built better than anything else there. Like, holy shit. You want to see cases built cheaply? Try to buy a case for Micro ATX case for $50. Good luck.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna pick up cases and be like, "That's manufactured from metal?" Question mark. Yeah, maybe that's the reason why this feels better is because it's a cube. But I don't know. It just seemed like it was made considerably better, like $10 more, but made like twice as good. Like all the edges in this are rolled. In the Corsair and the what was the other one, Cooler Master, like it didn't even seem like all the edges were. They're all sharp and shit still.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna do the USB 3.0 after we do the power supply because it's a stiff mother beeper, and I might want to hook it up here and have it go straight down if we can.
Yeah.
If that doesn't look weird, but it might look weird. Or being that it's close to the 24 pin, we might be able to just cable manage it to the 24 pin. There's a bunch of things we might be able to do. It's just that these are such stiff beep boop beeps, you know. Like I said, USB 3.0 cable, worst. Well, the cable's probably fine, but the connector on the motherboard and like this. Okay, there's this giant thing about EA bag that has to fit in something like that. No, it's not good.
It'll be fine.
That's what the designers were like. Okay, everybody's getting mad at us for not having one of these.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Well,
it's power.
I got all my stuff now for that. I'm gonna fold this again. Fold it one more time. Put it on there. Run a zip tie around. There we go. So here's what I was saying, where the side of this case is actually really nice for cable management. All of that tidied up, nice into there. Makes a nice little line. I will say that these hard drive cages are going to be a pain. Like if we ever use those, they're going to be a pain in the... I already got that actually.
Oh, well, never mind then.
It was actually written on the motherboard.
Oh, never mind then.
I didn't realize that initially. I asked for it, sorry. I'm gonna throw out all these dudes. Just chuck them in that thing and we'll jam the power supply in.
There's your power supply. I think it's going to be down, right? Because it's got the vent on the bottom.
Well, we don't want it stuck in the back of the motherboard, so...
Come on.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, to install this, I'm pretty sure we have to like go all like...
Just toss these.
Yeah.
Just chuck them.
Yeah, just cut off
Garbage.
Garbage.
That's stuck in.
There.
Oh, screws.
You just... You just 632. Those 2 screws. Alright. So we had to put this thing on like a little lift here to get it where we want it. There we go.
certain those are the ones that came with it.
Yeah, it's 632 hex head. Nothing special. Also, pro tip when you're building stuff like this, if you can, don't drop below a 80 plus bronze power supply. They do have just 80 plus certified. Those are usually really potato. And if you get them from a reputable manufacturer, they should at least be good enough. I just wouldn't use them for the full rated, like EVGA has a 600 watt that I use a lot. That's just 80 plus certified. Usually I'm chucking in like a Sandy Bridge or an older build, which is perfectly fine, and it's like $30 on sale. I, however, would not build a brand new system built on a $30 budget, even if it is EVGA technically. Power supply, because, and this one was this is a bronze rated, 450 watt. 450 watt is plenty for what we're doing.
Yeah.
Plenty. Even 650 for anything but like an SLI rig. Like I'm even talking 2080 Ti, 9900K, maybe not like hardcore overclock, but you know, like stock settings, a 650 watt would plenty. And a lot of people always overbuy their power supplies. Always.
Yeah. Not necessary or what?
No, it's not necessary. If your power supply is overkill for your build, you just got it for me. I got a deal on it. I'm gonna have 2,000 watt power supplies for my build. That is ridiculously overkill.
Yeah.
Now people are like, "Oh, why are you doing that?" Actually, the reason why it's gonna be 2 is for redundancy.
Yeah.
Also, generally with how my system is,
yeah,
I will have a lot of what do you want to call it? Like a lot of not instant load, but like when it kicks on, I'll have way higher load than I will
standby.
Well, no, like power, because I have so many fans and whatnot, and hard drives and everything. It's just gonna have a lot of like kind of like when it turns, like when all those things turn on at once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like say, I generally don't even let my hard drives go to sleep.
Yeah.
But you know, for load balancing, I don't want to have to worry about droop and stuff like that. And then I want the redundancy of having 2 power supplies. First one we're doing is the 8-pin, because it's closest here. Once again, we're making use of the old rail system thing that's over here. In this case, you can flip around all you want and whatnot. The one thing that will never change, though, from looking at it, is where that 120 millimeter on the, or 200 millimeter on the front, sorry, is going to be mounted, which kind of a downside, I guess. I kind of wish it was. Yeah, there's no higher mounts for that. It'd be better if it was over the CPU and GPU instead of halfway in between.
Mm-hmm.
What you gonna do, alright? We might have to put the bottom on here pretty soon, because I'm going to need a place to tie up all these cables that are excess.
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh, EA servers were down 4 hours ago.
Okay. Not surprising. I feel like game servers are always down all the time.
And 2 hours ago it came back up.
Yeah. From my experience, game servers just go down all the fuck too. I will say this 24 pin is hella stiff. I mean, hella stiff.
Yeah.
Like hella stiff. Like I can't even get it in all the way, and I'm worried about
24 breaking the board.
Mm-hmm. I got it.
It looks like it.
It's like I'm literally bending the board, like.
Yeah.
And like this end will go in, that end will go in, but not the.
Yeah.
So there's a nice big loop right there. We can hit that way. It's gonna look so empty, even though it's gonna have like a full build in it. Because we didn't put, you know, like I originally thought we would have, you know, 2 more 140mm fans. And to be truthful with how this is lined up, I would have mounted the 440mm in the inside, so you would have more gap to the front panel, which would have made it easier, or like better airflow wise. That is like this 24 pin, even though it's skinny as fuck, is like, yeah. Ooh, that's seems to be working. I have a feeling we can just go through here, and then hold on, look around.
Beefcake.
What was that?
Not bad.
And see if the 960 should be the left one.
This guy right here.
Yeah, I think so.
960 GTX. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one too. It's basically the best one EVGA made. That one was mine from the PC. Preston bought that off me, and then we got another one off of Mason, who's now Hollow. When he was selling his card. The reason why he was selling his card is because back when FreeSync was only on AMD, he could literally buy like a Vega 56 and a FreeSync monitor for the price of a G.Sync monitor of the exact same model. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what he did. He sold his 960 and got a huge GPU upgrade. Yeah.
This bad boy in,
or? We can. I still haven't done the USB 3 cable because it's dumb. No, I'm just saying, like, we can't be sure. this is for that guy. So we'll probably tie up that right there. You know what I mean? These are all gonna get tied up together. Because we don't need any. One thing, guys, about using NVMe or M.2 drives is you don't have to mess with all these fucking auxiliary cables, man. You just put them in the board and you're donezo, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna tie wrap this puppy up. Yeah, I might end up tie wrapping this to the bottom of the bottom panel. We'll see. Alright, someplace easy I can put it, I will.
Alright, let me try installing this card. Sure. Don't move the chassis.
Cool. My fine motor skills are shit now too.
Dude, I'm barely functioning here. Oh look, it's slotted in like it's a new motherboard. Way.
I think these are the screws here.
Get the screwdriver.
Well, there's a little guy there. You probably take the magnet off so it's not bumping anything. So I just took all the SATA and Molex powers because we don't give a fuck about them. And tie wrap them all together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie wrap them right underneath here. One squares gets the GPU installed.
Good enough.
Yeah. I just want to tip it on the side so I can actually see. Yeah. Tip it like this. And what am I going to tie wrap this to? Is the question.
8-pin.
You can put that underneath if you need more slack. It's fine.
I was trying to get it connected. That's all. Alright.
Yeah, those connectors are new and fresh. Yeah.
Magnets.
Magnets, bruh.
AMD. That sticker isn't on there either.
Yeah.
Nice.
So all I did here, just tie wrap that up like that.
Yeah.
Plenty to keep it up out of the way.
Yeah.
Cut that off. You just need to do this guy, right?
Off these things. Those are shit.
Yeah. To be truthful, I might leave extra slack on that GPU cable just because, you know, say if I end up having to swap the GPU or something, might as well leave the extra slack on it, right?
Sure.
I mean, I'm still going to tie wrap it down, but I'll tie wrap it down with like the most length. Because right now this thing's over here. You know, it could be, what I can do is just tie wrap that to like this point right there, and that's pretty darn toot and clean if you ask me.
Yeah.
Turns out when you have
I
like...
don't know if you asked that one guy, that's too much slack. Looks unprofessional.
You know what else can happen when you have too much tension on a cable? You can wreck it.
No.
So that's, well, and the reason why, I'll show you why, the reason why we want this is because if we flip it like this, right, this cable is coming straight across here. So all I was going to do is pull it straight across here, and we can actually tie up it down there. Like there's a spot in that corner there. Yeah, that guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing or talking about. That was also the guy that came in and
broke the CPU.
yeah. I was literally like fishing
Thermaltake
out of a socket. Yeah. I got it working. And like he broke his GPU today. He's like, oh, no, it can't be. It was working before I did the upgrade. I'm like, well, then you did something wrong, because artifacting to whatever. And it's like, yeah, I think my mom dropped it. I don't think his mom dropped it. Just like that. I don't. I'll just pull tension on that. There we go. So that's about as much slack as that's going to get, so it should be able to get you to anywhere on any GPU you need. And then the last one we need is stupid USB 3.0. Which, this is like the stupidest thing ever.
Just, you know, jams into your fan.
I'm probably going to... Because here's the thing. Say we pull this down here, you can only have so much tension on it before it decides to... Like, look, oh, it's already flexing. Look at that. Oh. So that's why I was literally considering, what if we, like... There's not enough tie downs there. I get it. What we can do. And then half time when you pull these out, like pull the fucking socket right off. Put that around here. And we're gonna go into there, right? And then what we can do is have this tie wrap to like here. All good? Right?
Sure.
Right here. We can go like there. So because we don't really need to worry about, because they showed you can put like a radiator in the front of this. Like, we're not fucking putting that. Right here. Like, they actually showed you could put a radiator here, here, here. Yeah, you could have 3 radiators in there. It'd be fucking awkward as shit. That's them once again. Like, technically, this could probably be cut down a whole bunch more. You know, like, you could probably take this whole height out of it, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
Alright, we're good. Where does squares keep going? Alright, well this puppy's done, guys. I'm gonna plug it in, see if it posts. We can do that on stream here real quick. I'm not gonna put the rest of the case back together. Because the main components that need to work fine are CPU, motherboard, SSD. RAM I got from Newegg. Case came from Amazon. Power supply too.
Once you fire her up.
Yep. Yeah, I think this third, like, what, USB 3, whatever, came out okay.
Yeah.
This is actually like a bigger case than I ended up needing. I thought I was going to kind of fill it out with a Hyper 212 because I imagine that about here. Yeah. And then like 2 Be Quiets in the front. Like, it would have filled out better with that stuff. But was it needed? No. Would have been nice to put in here? Sure. Well,
here we go.
Because the other thing we could have done is if we could have the Hyper 212 as well, I could have actually made a set of the 4 120s work.
Yeah.
Or a set of 4 fans work, because we could have put one of them on the Hyper 212.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you had 4 fans. So. Oh, by the way, this does have a 5 1/4 inch bay. Not that, like, the case that we, like, the front panel that we have actually has a spot for a 5 1/4 inch bay. So I have a feeling that this is like a generic, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like
chassis.
they've reused the chassis for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying, because that's what keeps cost down. And once again, it's still a way better built chassis than anything else we saw for this money. You know. At least in the micro ATX. I think ATX might have had a bit more variety. But I don't know. If you're saving money, micro ATX is just plain old cheaper. The other thing is realistically, is anybody running more than one graphics card nowadays? Nope. Okay. Realistically, is anybody running more than 1 or maybe 2 expansion cards nowadays? Nope. And I mean, that bottom 4X slot, by the way, that technically goes through the chipset, but remember, an Intel 660p is not that quick. So you could technically run like a 660p through the chipset and be not bottlenecked. So... Alright, I'm down on the floor here. You might have been able to hear the fans, or the computer start with the fans. Dell monitor is recognizing stuff. Fans are ramping up a bit. And we have post. Alright, no boot media. I'm going to throw it on memtest overnight. Technically, it should have BIOS updates and stuff because Ryzen's always super out of date. But because we had Ryzen compatible RAM, it booted up first time, no problems. Didn't need to enter anything. It's running at proper speeds even already. You can enable XMP profile. It's called DOCP on here. But yeah, if you get compatible hardware out of the box, which it takes a little bit more research than Intel, less and less for AMD by the day, as more and more people use it. I lost my phone out of my pocket. The easier and easier it is, and it's not really hard now. Just you have to do a bit more research than you would with Intel. Damn, man. I'm taking some shots with night sight on Google, and man, is this... It does save as RAW now too when you use night sight, which is pretty cool.
Success? Yes? No?
Yep. I was trying to hold still for a night sight because I was using night sight to take some picture. Damn, dude. Like, look at these. That's stupid. Like, those are all with night sight. Like, that's under there. Yeah. Like, you see how dark that is? Like, look at that.
Yeah, it's like clear as day.
Fucking. And now it saves it as raw too, so you can go in and edit. Actually, because normally before, like, once you did night sight, it just baked it in, and you're like, oh, well, you're done. You know, and you're like, oh, what? But that looks like an awesome photo. Can I edit it?
See you later.
Google edited this already for you. That's night sight. Yeah. But what if I want to, like, make it better? You can't. Google.
Nope.
Google! I'm putting the front thing on because there's a giant 200mm fan sticking out, and I feel like if I don't, things are going to go in the giant 200mm fan. Fingers, cats, appendages, whole humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna run mem test on it. I think I have a drive over here set up for that. Not that we don't actually need to know if it passes or fails, because that's done through Newegg and I can do that whenever. But it will be somewhat of a good stress test for the system. You know what I mean? To do mem test. Control delete. Delete. Yeah, booted first try. Like, it didn't even do weird stuff where it's like, oh, let me retry the RAM 15 times. You know what I mean? And that's probably because it is AMD compatible RAM. We're just going to load the XMP setting, which is called DOCP, I believe, on AMD. And then I have this ancient right here. Ancient Sony 1 gig flash drive. This is what I've been using for my mem test for a long time. How many megabytes does mem test need? It's like basically nothing, right? Like,
yeah, running out of potato basically.
Yeah. So I generally recommend a 4 gig or smaller drive for mem test, for those wondering. And I've actually been siding more towards that 4 gig now, because the newer versions of mem test, if you can run them, will actually save log files. So if you do have errors, you can actually export them to a TXT. And you'd be like, here, Corsair, here's your shitty RAM. Give me new stuff. Oh, we don't have Dominator DDR3 anymore. There we go. Oh, we got memory errors. Instantly.
Well.
Oh, bad memory.
You got any other memory you can test?
Yep. We should update the BIOS first though and retest it.
Yeah.
I can grab the... I have some DDR4 Corsair that's not technically Ryzen compatible. That is upstairs. It'll work though. We've had it work on stuff before. I think we used it to test excuse me, Cobble 2. Okay. What is that board again? ASRock Z450M
Pro 4.
Pro 4. Go. We need to figure out what version that's on, because AMD does this stupid shit where like the major versions you have to update to first. Like, I have to go to 1.6. Then once on 1.6, we can go to 2. then 3.1's minimum version to upgrade from is 2. You know what I mean? Like, so we actually have to jump through a couple hoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just throwing errors out of the wall freaking zoo, man. You guys can't see this. Sorry. I mean, like, you could. It's not set up. And we're doing this night before we go to anime convention. So, I'm not taking the time to set up some elaborate streaming setup, I'm afraid. Hopefully this is just due to
board,
like the BIOS settings.
Yeah.
Here it is. I'm trying to find the freaking power button. Okay, we're on 160. So I need to go version 2, then version 3.10. Once again, recommend a sub 4 GB drive for BIOS updates because you want to format it FAT if you can, not FAT32.
Yeah.
Or on the ground too. Make sure you do that. Make sure you get some like ancient Xbox 360 1 GB drive as well. Built like tanks.
I want to tip on you, but
that's fine, dude. You're dying. I'm just gonna see if this will get working or not, basically.
I gotta clean the house a little bit yet, clean the camera boxes, and camera up and do it good.
Yeah. I feel you, dude.
Alright.
Completely. Basically, I'm gonna get this up, the BIOS update, and rerun it. If it instantly fails again, I will grab the core memory from upstairs, because that's from my desktop.
Yeah.
I know it works.
Yeah.
Run that through there. If it fails, it's board or CPU. If it doesn't fail, all I have to do is arm the memory to Newegg, and having bad memory new out of the box seems to be like super fucking common. I don't know why. Especially with G.Skill for me, man. That's why I always avoided G.Skill. Was like I haven't had issues once it's good.
Yeah.
Like once you get good, whereas I have the opposite issue with Corsair, where it's like out of freaking nowhere, it'll just be like, oh, what? I'm like, and sometimes I can understand, like if I went to service it or something, and maybe I didn't ground myself or something, or I pulled it out. Other times it'll just be like, yeah, I'm done. I'm like, well, what? Corsair's trying to tell me one time in my desktop that it was due to heat, and I'm like, remember I have RAM coolers on it. You know how unneeded RAM fucking coolers are, and I have them on there, and they're trying to tell me that it's due to heat, and I'm like, I just like look at like squinty eye, and like,
Yeah.
Are you guys nuts? Pretty sure nuts.
Alright.
Hold it. I'll see you tomorrow. It'll probably be 12 or 1 by the time I get up. I mean, it's fine. Like I said, we don't need to leave till 3 or 4. Yeah. And there's no point really getting there any earlier. Yeah. I mean. Well, no. What I mean is like even then, like I plan on leaving here at 3 or 4. I'll get down there at 5 or 6. And to be truthful, if we leave at 3 or 4, we're probably gonna get hit rush hour. Wait a second. Okay, if we leave here at 4, we hit Milwaukee at 5 and Chicago at 6. That sounds awful. If we leave here at 3, we hit Milwaukee at 4, and we might even want to leave later. I don't want to leave too much. Like we could leave here at 5. Then we're getting down there at 7. That doesn't sound. Just I would like to avoid driving in rush hour twice. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Like, because like we have no like how do I put this like, yeah we could check in at 3. Do we need to check in at 3? No. Exactly. Exactly. So I mean like we can leave as late as 5. I mean if we stop and get something to eat too, that might take a bit. And now, like, normally I would have to think, like, oh, we gotta get to, like, if we want to stop at Mitzvah for food on the way down again. We'd have to get there, like, oh, we have to get there before 5 or 6 or whatever it is. Now they're open till 8. All the stores there I saw. So, like, say we leave at 4. We still hit 5 and 6. Going through Milwaukee on rush hour isn't bad, because you're going through Milwaukee? I don't know. We could theoretically leave as late as 5 and be like we get down there at 7. See, that's getting close with if we wanted to eat then though. You know what I mean? Like and I kind of would want to eat if we could at Mitzvah again because I like their food. It's gonna be busy, but because it's before the convention. But yeah. 3 might be a bit early. Because we'd be hitting Milwaukee at 4, which is start of rush hour, and we'd be hitting Chicago at 5, which is rush hour. That's no bueno. So maybe 4 o'clock. I definitely probably won't wait. Like it's 3 now. I'll probably be in 4. I hopefully am in bed by. I'm sleeping till noon, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll see you tomorrow, man.
See you later, man.
Alright, so we got the BIOSes on the flash drive. Generally use a USB 2.0 port. You're gonna have better luck with that if it has one. This one only has 2 of them on board. Has 2 more headers. In this case, this board's already on 1.6, which is the original G.Skill, if I recall. With how AMD works is with their big updates, you have to go between them. So we're going to use... we're on 1.6 right now, so we have to go to 2, because 3.10, 2 requires 1 point something or higher. It's already on 1.6. 3 requires 2.0 or higher. So we're going to go to 2 first. Once we go to 2, restart. Probably you do it twice or something. I don't like doing back to back right away. And then we'll go to 3.1. I'm going to reseat the RAM just to make sure. And we'll see if we pass or fail mem test again. If we fail again, I'm going to run and grab some Corsair DDR4 I have that I know works from my main desktop. If that fails, it's going to be the CPU and the motherboard. Highly doubtful. Probably just got bad RAM. It's pretty common to get bad RAM out of the box. I know G.Skill, as much as I've been liking their stuff, I do tend to get bad stuff out of the gate. However, unlike Corsair, once I have good stuff, it doesn't tend to go bad. I have the opposite issue with Corsair, where initially I get shipped good stuff, and then it'll just die. I mean, it has lifetime warranty, so that's not an issue. It's just, I don't know what's more annoying. Getting bad stuff out of the gate, or having it randomly die on you. So I think I'm think. Ugh. Well, guys, I think I'm checking out just because it's basically 3 o'clock, and yeah, I'm gonna rest while I wait for these UEFI updates to go through. See you in the next one. Oh, and my Twitter and Instagram is TheProfosist as always. Follow me this weekend for Anime Central. I'll be covering it, mostly photos. Thursday through Sunday. And as always, it's the-check-exchange.com. See you next one.